And good afternoon, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners public hearing for February the 4th, 2020. And the topic is Amendment to Title 18, the Platting and Subdivisions. I'm Commissioner John Hutchings, and to my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. To my right is Commissioner Ty Menser. To his right is the Clerk of the Board, La Bonita Bomar. And sitting over here on the right is County Manager Ramiro Chavez, and to his right is our Assistant County Manager, Robin Campbell. So thank you for being here. And the purpose of this meeting, this public hearing, is to accept public testimony on the proposed preliminary plat extension ordinance. The ordinance would amend the Thurston County Code to change the length and structure of preliminary plat extensions in order to increase the potential amount of time a developer has to complete a non-phased subdivision project. There's a sign-up sheet in the back. I have one here, but there's one in the back. If you'd like to testify, please sign in. You'll be called up, and you'll have 3 minutes to testify. I'll call your names out. When you hear your name, please come up and identify yourself and give your testimony. Your time cannot be donated to somebody else. And when testifying, please provide your name, address. I said that, okay? And La Bonita Bomar has the timer, and it'll be all set. It starts at 3 o'clock, or 3 minutes rather than, and time's on down. So I'm going to open this public hearing now, and there's a staff presentation provided by, oh yay, come on up. Caitlin Nelson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Caitlin Nelson, Associate Planner with Community Planning and Economic Development. Today's hearing is to accept public testimony on proposed amendments to item A17 from the 2019 Official Development Code docket. The proposed amendment would make non-phase subdivision projects eligible for a one-time 3-year extension. The current code limits those projects to a one-time 1-year extension. Phase subdivision projects would be eligible for a 2-year extension for each phase of the project up to a maximum of 10 years total. The requirements for approving an extension are not proposed to change. In addition, the proposed amendment corrects the department definition in section 18.08.133 by replacing resource stewardship with community planning and economic development to align with the department name change. The Planning Commission held 2 work sessions from September 2019 through October 2019 to review and discuss the proposal. 3 public comments were received prior to the Planning Commission public hearing. 1 person commented with difficulty finding documents on the website and requesting clarification on the requirements. 2 comments were from 1 person associated with the Sienna 2 preliminary plat, the first to clarify how it would be affected, the second voicing support for the amendment. The Planning Commission held a duly noticed meeting and recommended amending plat extensions regulations in rural Thurston County on October 16, 2019. A SEPA checklist was completed and a determination of non-significance was issued on October 25, 2019. On December 10, 2019, Community Planning staff requested the board set a public hearing for this topic. Due to an error, the public hearing notice was not published in the Olympian, and therefore the public hearing was not duly noticed, and the January 7th hearing was canceled. Notice for this public hearing ran in the Olympian on January 9th, 2020, and no comments from the public have been received up to this point. That concludes my remarks, and I welcome any questions.
Have you any questions of Caitlin?
No, I might add that we've had quite a few work sessions, and we've got into this in depth, and thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
No questions.
Commissioner, any questions for Caitlin or comments?
Caitlin, I didn't understand the Planning Commission. The proposal that's before us was, you said they recommended change, but in this form, this is the recommendation that came out of Planning Commission?
They recommended amending the code as proposed here.
Not
So
amending the proposal.
Right.
But just this amendment.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. And then I know we've had briefings, but they've been spaced out by months. So one-time 3-year extension, but then if it's a multi-phase, there's a different extension. Can you just remind me of those time limits?
Right. So for a non-phase subdivision project, this would make them eligible for a one-time 3-year extension.
Got it.
For a phased subdivision, projects would be eligible for a 2-year extension for each phase of the project for a maximum of 10 years of extensions.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. So now I'm going to ask folks that if you'd like to sign up. I'm going to read your name, so you can go up in order that you signed up, and I'll give everybody an opportunity to address the board, even if you haven't signed up. The first one up is going to be Aaron Hall, followed by Jeff Pantier. There we go. Thank you, Jeff Pantier.
Good afternoon, Board of County Commissioners. My name is Erin Hall. I'm here on behalf of Olympia Master Builders, located at 1211 State Avenue Northeast in Olympia. We're a trade organization that operates in the region, representing about 500 local builders and folks in associated construction trades. I'm happy to stand before you today saying that we're very supportive of this proposed amendment. Simply put, it does simplify and streamline the plat extension approval process. So big thumbs up on that. Great work to all your staff working on this. They've liaised with us throughout the entire process and requested feedback, help crafting this entire proposal. One thing I will note, in the proposal, there is a caveat that potential plats impacted by the Mazama Pocket Gopher listing, specifically ones that were approved prior to January 1, 2015, have a special extension range lasting 7 years, which would put us into the period of January 1st, 2020. Presumably that is to allow the properties that had done everything right, who have gone through the process but did so right before the gopher listing, to have that period expanded so that they could get an HCP in place and continue to move forward with their project. As we move forward with the HCP project and process, which is very exciting, and I know that we're moving forward on that, it seems doubtful that we will have final resolution and implementation by January 1st of 2020. So if that is indeed the intention, then I would perhaps urge you guys to consider extending that beyond the 7-year period to maybe an 8 or 9 year period to make sure those folks who have been abiding by the law and waiting patiently for the county to get that habitat conservation plan in place still have the opportunity to move forward with projects that they had already vested prior to the gopher listing. Just a note, again, if that is not the rationale from a staff point of view behind that 7-year period for those specific types of permits, then carry on forward with our full support. As a note, one of my favorite comments from the staff report that went forward to Planning Commission as a con for adopting this would be that streamlined extension process could incentivize more development, which could add demand for more county infrastructure. That is perhaps indeed a con from your point of view, but something that I heartily and hopefully would like to see happen in the future. Thank you very much, and again, we support this.
You want to wait till the end?
Well, I'd like to clarify a date here.
January 1st, 2020?
Is it 2020 or 2022?
2022.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to clarify that for the record, so we know we have some time to work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I got that. All right, next up is Jeff Pantier, followed by Kevin O'Brien.
Thank you, Board, for allowing us to testify here on this important code amendment today. It's been in the work in process here for a year or so. A lot of good work has been done by staff, so we appreciate that. Basically, and I'm obviously in support of.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Am I done?
No.
I'm in support of the proposal as currently presented before you today and as recommended for approval by the Planning Commission earlier. Currently, plats kind of go into two separate bins. You have plats that are less than 200 lots and plats that are over 200 lots. If you're under 200 lots, you have a 5-year preliminary plat approval with a possibility of a 1-year extension. That's it. If you're a large plat over 200 lots, then you have 5 years in your original approval, and then you have a possibility of 5 more years through 1-year extensions for a total of 10. One of the challenges is that there really is nothing to differentiate a very large plat that might have 1,000 lots versus one that has 201 lots. And so what this code will do will help allow those larger phased projects to actually get completed with their conditions of approval that were established during the public hearing process. The other impediment with these with the current code is that even when you qualify for the additional time, those additional 5 years, you have to complete 50% of the approved lots within the first 5 years just to qualify. So if you have a large subdivision of 1,000 lots or so, 500 lots to be completed in those first 5 years is an awful high bar, and it's almost impossible to complete. To give you an idea, a typical subdivision, once it's approved by the hearing examiner, usually takes about a year to go through engineering and permit review with the county staff. And then another year to put the infrastructure in for the streets and the sewer, the water, the curbs, and all that. Assuming you don't have any weather delays, you're into it 2 years, 2.5 years out of your initial 5 to probably put 100 lots or so on the ground. So on a large phase project that's got 1,000 lots or so, you've got a long ways to go, but you've burned half of that initial runway. So what this code will do, what the code amendment will do, it'll enable those large phase projects to actually get completed with the conditions of approval that were established at the outset. For example, a large project that's been phased and planned for phasing will have its initial 5-year approval plus up to 10 years of extensions in 2-year increments. So, you know, a 15-year period will be adequate for anything that we've seen come through Thurston County to date, really. So a lot of great work has been put forward on this. I completely support it, and I thank staff for bringing this forward. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, sir. And finally, Kevin.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. Kevin O'Brien, I'm a principal with Oak Tree Preserve LLC, 15 Lake Bellevue, Suite 102, Bellevue, Washington, 98005. I wanted also to thank staff for their diligence. These are collaborative efforts. These projects of this nature, we purchased this property back in 2014, or excuse me, 2012, and then worked through an approval process with staff, getting to hearing, and finally to have the Board of Commissioners ratify the final plat in July of 2015. In February of 2016, we started meeting with staff about ways to extend the approvals with the code that the project was vested to. At no time during that process did we ever meet with any resistance. Your staff has been excellent to work with. They've been creative, and as I said, it's really fresh to be able to work with people who are looking forward. These are complicated issues. As Jeff suggested, projects of this size, 1,000 lots, do take a little bit of time to work. We've got to provide a business plan that functions. We've got to work with the financing components. We've got to meet the requirements of the approval. And as I said, at every step of the way, it was a can-do attitude with staff. And I just wanted, again, to support how much we appreciated, as owners of that real estate, as members of this community, how much we appreciated staff's assistance. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It always makes my chest swell with pride when I hear such compliments. Thank you.
Very good.
That extends, or that uses up the people that have signed up. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board that has not yet, would like to testify? Anyone? Okay. Oh.
He didn't want to testify.
No, neither one. Okay, got it. Thank you. Didn't even see that one. All right, so now we're going to close. Is there any questions of staff? Anybody have questions?
No.
No? Okay, then we're going, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. And now what is the pleasure of the board? Is there a motion?
I am ready to move forward. I didn't
Okay.
prepare a motion, and I thought maybe it was coming from elsewhere.
Might sound something like
Yeah,
that.
Commissioner Menzer
That's fine.
needs to introduce the
Okay.
motion.
Okay.
move to approve an ordinance for preliminary plat extension amendments to Title 18 of the Thurston County Code, Development Code Amendment Number A17.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this ordinance preliminary plat extension amendments to Title 18. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. And we're done. Thank you.